everybody and welcome to today's video. As you probably inferred from the thumbnail, this video is talking about the parallels between the Nun and Houska Castle. Before we delve any deeper into today's video, I must first explain the Nun and Houska Castle. The Nun, directed by Karen Hardy, is a horror movie and a spin-off of the second and fifth Conjuring movies which were directed by James Wan. The Nun was not inspired by any particular horror story, but was made as a prequel to The Conjuring 2, which explains the origins of the demonic nun Vilic before it comes into contact with the Warrens. The horror movie starts off with two nuns trying to control the situation they are in, that situation being a demon nun running around their abbey, which is in a very old castle. One of the nuns goes into a dark room to retrieve the blood of Jesus Christ, which is needed to seal the portal, but she is dragged back into the darkness where she is undoubtedly killed. The remaining nun flees with the key from the hall outside the dark room and into another room where she secures a rope to her neck and jumps out of the window, effectively hanging herself, just before the demon nun approaches the room from the hallway. This is how the nun begins. You may ask, but where did the demon nun come from? Well, the abbey was damaged during World War II by bombs which broke the seal over the portal, a deep hole in the abbey, releasing the demon. There is a backstory to why the portal exists, but that is not important for the sake of this video. So there is a portal with demons in it. Now what? This leads us into the origins of Houska Castle. Houska Castle is in what is today the Czech Republic, about 30 miles north of Prague. What is interesting about this particular castle is the fact that in local legend, the walls of the castle faced inward and not outward like all other castles, meaning that it was built to keep something in. The castle's location can be used as further proof for this, because castles were built on the frontiers of a kingdom, not deep within it. As the legend goes, before the castle was built there were half-human half-animal figures running around who would steal livestock and frighten locals. They supposedly originated from a deep pit on top of a large hill, which locals there called the gateway to hell. So a castle was erected over the pit to keep whatever was coming out of it in. Prisoners sentenced to death in that area were offered their life in exchange for going into the pit and describing what they saw. As the legend goes, a prisoner volunteered to be lowered down. This is where it gets weird. After a few seconds of being lowered down, he starts to yell for his life, so they quickly pull him back up. Upon doing so, they see that the man has white hair and had somehow aged 30 years and was still yelling and in the worst shock they had ever seen. The man died the following day, unable to provide any insight into what he had witnessed. After this incident, the pit was filled with dirt and garbage, but after filling it, it would all collapse back down, so they had to build over it. They built a chapel over the pit hoping the holy ground would contain whatever evil lies beneath, along with other buildings and a wall surrounding it all. This castle was partially demolished, minus the chapel, and was styled into a Romanesque style building. So, you are probably asking, okay, what's the parallel? The important parallels are the pits and the castles guarding them. I do not know if the director knew about Houska Castle when writing The Nun, but I'm not complaining, it just makes The Nun all the better. The two stories both share demon pits, medieval times, World War II, and a castle protecting them. In addition to this, the castle and the nun parallels with the chapel because it is being used as an abbey to try and sanctify the ground, so those church leaders thought it wise to try and contain the demons that way, too. As if the two places could not get any more alike, they do. Both places were built in medieval times and both have World War II in common. The Nazis even occupied Houska Castle where they allegedly stored important books and may have performed human experiments, adding to the creepiness of the castle. In conclusion, the Nun and Houska Castle are not too different from each other, with both sharing the fact that they were used to contain evil to keep it from spreading. I hope all of you enjoyed this video. Please consider subscribing and liking this video. NoobToob out.